the band play.
100K on the protect, living life with no regrets. These out when I get dressed. Summertime, I'm with a fresh. Put a leg behind her head. Night, she gonna bed. Bye-bye. Every day it's a new test. I just keep chasing these chicks. Living life with no regrets. Living life with no regrets.
Sled Talk listeners, welcome back to the next episode. This is our first episode coming back from a little bit of a break. So first episode in the summer. And we're kicking it off with the one and only Mr. Kyle Saxton. Dude, I appreciate you jumping on. Some technical difficulties, but thank you for being here, man.
Awesome, man. We're rolling now. I'm stoked to be here.
Heck yeah. Glad to have you. So I just got a notification that your internet was weak. Don't worry, they're still recording in high quality. So it's all good. As long as you can hear me and there's not too much of a lag, we'll keep chipping away. Does that work?
Yep, I hear you perfect.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So Kyle, where do you live exactly? Is it Big Fork?
Yep, in Big Fork, Montana. So just south of Glacier
Heck
Park, right on Sled Lake there.
Yeah. Born and raised?
Yep. Born here in the Flathead Valley and been here my whole life. So
Nice. Cool. Have you ever, by chance, been to Ovando?
I have.
Yeah, that's where I grew up.
Is it? Small town.
Yeah, small town of 65 people, baby. Super small. So I wasn't born there, but grew up there. Spent most of my life there. So good old Montana boys, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man.
Heck yeah. Well, cool. So yeah, there's still a little bit of a lag, so listeners bear with us on this, but let's start chipping away and get into some questions. It's almost the middle of summer. Weather's been super weird this year, but let's talk about some snowmobiling in the middle of June. I'm stoked.
Oh yeah. Same.
Heck yeah. So Kyle, how I've been following you for quite a while, man, and first off, I'll start off by saying you are an absolute animal on the sled. It's really, really fun and entertaining to watch you. The things that you do and the content that you're capturing, you doing those things are just, it's insane. I could probably speak for a lot of listeners right now that we definitely admire you, man, and what you're doing for the sport. It's pretty nuts what you're capable of. So
I appreciate that, man. It's always cool to hear that.
Heck yeah, dude. And I'm sure, as with everything that social media says, you probably gained all of those tricks and gained that whole skill set overnight, correct?
Oh yeah. Super quick. No, it's yeah. Yep, it's been a process. And it's never ending. I'm not where I'm going to be, and there's always room to progress. There's always a level. There's always somewhere more to go, which is cool. And that's the cool thing about sledding is it's a very challenging sport, and there's lots of levels to it.
Yep. Well, snowmobiling and in life and business and everything else too, right? Like there's always progress to be
100%.
made every day.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man. So how long have you been riding sleds? Like what age were you the first time that you threw your legs around one?
About 10, 12 years. Yeah, about 12 years now, which I would have been 10, 11 years old. And first sled was an old 88 Phaser, put an old 141 track on it. And that's what got me into it.
Heck yeah. And let me ask you this, because this is a common thread for a lot of guests that we have on here. It's a common thread for me as well. Did that influence to start snowmobiling come from your father by chance?
Nope.
Interesting. Who influenced you to get started with it?
Well, yeah, I always wanted to get into dirt biking, that kind of stuff. Always loved watching the motocross stuff, but never had any of that growing up. Spent my childhood on skis and pedal bikes, and always thought the like action sports and motorsports are pretty badass. So finally found that sled cheap, and that's kind of was my introduction to the deal. You know, dirt bikes were a lot more than an old phaser, and just first purchase got me into it.
Yeah. Heck yeah. That's awesome. And so I think another good topic I want to go right into is, because it's always fun to discuss this with snowmobilers. Everybody's got their brand and feel a type of way about it. So let me ask you, you know, you've been riding Articat for a little while now. What's kind of the reasonings why you chose to jump on an Articat, and what do you like about it so much versus others?
Basically, yeah, definitely. No, they all have their good suits and they all have their bad suits. I've kind of chose Cat the last few years. They've been super beefy, awesome sleds. I really like the chassis on them and stuff. They hold up to quite the beating. But yeah.
You don't beat sleds. What are you talking about? That's funny. Huh. Well, cool. So what's your favorite, talk to us about your favorite build, thus far that you've had. It could be last year's or even one in a previous year. But take us through the sled. What was it?
Probably a 19 hardcore that I got 3 years ago. It just ran good, ran the best out of any of them that I ever had. I ended up with the 141 under it, and a lot of track speed with those 141s, and the sled ran really good. Always pulled RPM. Just had a lot of fun on that sled.
Yeah. Nice. Did you do like any big mods to it, or kept it fairly stock or
motor, GGB can, nothing really.
Heck yeah. It was all just skill, baby. So, Kyle, what was, if you can boil this down to one, that's awesome. If it needs to be 2 or 3, that's cool too. But thinking back on last season, what was your favorite moment that you can recall? Like you accomplished a serious trick that you've been trying at several times, or could be anything. Is there anything, as I ask that question, that specifically pops into your mind that you can think about? That was a favorite.
Kind of two topics. My Alaska trip, that was a highlight of my season, and
yeah.
Back home freestyle, getting some grabs and some stuff done on freestyle. Yeah.
Nice.
Alaska was pretty rad. I went up there for 2 weeks. I flew up and found some buddies up there who had a Cat and put a bunch of parts on it and broke a bunch of stuff, but had a lot of fun. Rolled around with Warren Gage and Ryan, a bunch of people up there. Had a blast. Explored a ton of different zones and built a bunch of jumps. Met a lot of like the OG guys up there, some of the Turner and hardcore guys, and had a lot of really cool conversations around growing up and all the Alaska sledding things.
Heck yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, Warren's, I haven't reached out to him directly, or maybe I sent him a DM. I wanted to get him onto the podcast, and he came to my attention through, do you know Nick Pano?
Yep.
Dude.
Yep, good buddies with him.
Dude's
good stuff.
Dude's a stud, man. I had he jumped on an episode, I can't even remember what number it was on now, but really good dude. Is really good episode.
That's right.
And he shined a lot of light on all things Alaska and everything that they're doing up there. They're putting in some serious work. Definitely inspiring. It'd be pretty cool to go up there for sure. And I think that's another part that's cool too about like being able to, before off camera, we were talking about like networking and doing this whole Q&A thing and whatnot and creating these relationships and these friendships. It's really cool to be able to do that within the sledding industry, and then the opportunities that comes from that is provided because of it. Right.
100%.
So that's really cool. Yeah. I remember some of your stories from Alaska. Didn't you, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you tear one, maybe if not 2 tracks up there that you were? Yep. I remember you putting searches out for them or something on your stories, I think.
Yep. So I had shipped a track up there and put it on the sled, and then of course it blows apart first ride. So we found a buddy down in Homer who had one they pulled off his dad's sled, and they drove it up. We got that on, and then same deal, ripped. So we couldn't find anything. We're thinking it was just coincidence, but maybe there's something in there catching. But we pulled all that skid track out and took a different skid and different track out of another sled and put it in there and didn't have issues with it. But,
Jeez. I guess it's a good thing you know how to turn some wrenches then, huh? Get it done.
I spent a lot of time wrenching up there.
And go to Alaska for 2 weeks and spend 1 week just working on stuff.
Right? Part of sledding.
Hey man, absolutely, dude. 100%. That's funny. Cool. So what's on the topic of Alaska, what are some other locations that you've ridden? Obviously several in Montana. So outside of Montana, what are some other locations that you've ridden? And out of everywhere, excluding your home, where's your favorite place to ride?
Favorite place to ride, I'll answer that right off the bat, is Revelstoke, which is 7 hours north of me.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's up in BC, Canada. That's definitely all-time favorite place to ride. Spent a lot of time up there. And places that I've ridden, I've rode BC quite a bit, just because it's close. Cook City is actually further away than Revelstoke for me.
That's wild. That's funny.
So, yeah. So, all around Montana, Idaho, I've rode like McCall, some of the stuff in northern Idaho, like Trestle and some of that kind of stuff. Spirit Lake area. Wyoming, rode quite a bit in Wyoming with Articat shooting their content the last few years.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Trying to think of where else I've rode.
So on
Never made it down to Utah or Nevada or California or any of that.
No. Have you ever hit Oregon?
Never hit Oregon either.
That's where I'm at. So on the topic of locations, I was thinking about this earlier. So like I told you, I grew up in Ovando, and so obviously like I've been to Seeley several times. I've ridden not out of Seeley, but more so like out of Ovando, and then so I've always kind of been aware of that area. And you know, maybe it's just because I'm taking more notice on it as I'm doing more on social media and stuff, but it seems like over the last like little short time span that Seeley Lake has become quite a popular snowmobiling destination. You know, I know Keith Curtis has gotten in there, and you know, just one thing after, not saying it's Keith Curtis's fault by any means, but you start getting, you know, bigger people and more content, and it just grows more awareness for people, right? And so have
Puts
you
more on the spotlight of attention.
Sure. Cause like, you know, and doing this podcast and stuff thing, and I've talked to, you know, so many people about locations and different riding spots and whatnot, and Seeley Lake is always coming up in conversation one way or another. And so let me ask you, have you like noticed like a change or an increase in a lot more people? Is it becoming like a negative thing? Is it awesome more people are coming and seeing more people riding with new people? Like what's your whole take on
It's
that?
definitely grown a lot. Used to be, you go to the parking lot on the weekends and there'd be like one of a handful of trucks, and then that parking lot started to fill up, and then they made more parking lot, and now it's a giant parking lot that's full every weekend.
Dude.
So, I mean, if you like riding with a bunch of people, it's great, but you know, obviously more people, more tracks, everything gets tracked out. I'm not saying that it's like you'll find tracks every day, but there's less honey holes.
Sure.
That's for sure.
Sure.
But I mean, not making it out as a bad thing. It's good. It's bringing a lot of economy to the Seeley. It's, you know, supporting all the awesome businesses. You know, Freshy's built's been guiding out there. Caleb's doing clinics now.
Yeah.
That's also put a lot on the spotlight for Seeley.
Sure.
But it's really good for those guys, their companies, and everything that's going on there. It's also bringing more people into the spots, which is kind of cool to see like some people's different eyes on terrain, and like see some lines that you wouldn't have thought of, or like jump locations that you wouldn't have thought of.
Sure.
Having a fresh eye on location always is something new.
Different perspective. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I was thinking about that earlier when I was thinking about, recording this episode with you tonight. And that came up. I was curious, because you're obviously very much boots on the ground and get to see it from that standpoint. So, no, that's interesting. So continuing on, got a couple of things outside of snowmobiling, but maintain specific snowmobiling topics. What do you think overall is your biggest focus for this upcoming season? Whether it's maintaining working out or sled stuff or anything, sponsors, whatever. Like what's like the biggest thing that you're got your eyes set on for this next season?
Next season's all about progression for me. A lot of plans for progressing. A lot of different changes that are going to happen for progressing, and kind of minimizing the noise, getting rid of some of the stuff that might interfere with my full concentration on what I need to be doing. So just getting set up for success for this next season. I want to have a huge year. I'm practicing freestyle. I set up a freestyle jump at my house. So I'm going to be practicing all summer. That's something I want to implement into the backcountry next year, and start like really pushing that in the backcountry and start learning more tricks. So yeah, I guess next season is strictly progression. That's what I'm after next season.
Got it. Yeah. So a couple of things that you had mentioned there. So that ramp, you actually bought that from Kosterky, didn't you? He had that at his property there in Clearwater, correct?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, I've been watching your stories and getting it all. Sorry.
That's rad. Oh, you're good. It's a super kicker, and then he's got one of those airbags that goes on top of a dirt pile for the landing. So I set that up in my place.
Yeah, I've been watching your stories. You hauling it up there and building it, and the whole progress of the entire thing. That's pretty cool. And then being able to have that right there to run the reps, right? Just like going into the gym every day, lifting the weights, right? Run the rep. So for you to have that at your disposal right there out your front door, or I'm assuming it's right by your house, to be able to practice, that's awesome. Yeah, to be able to do that over and over again, to then be able to apply that into the backcountry is going to be pretty big step up for you, I think, which is sick.
100%.
Yeah. So another piece that I want to pick off there too and ask you specifically. So you mentioned Caleb Kosterky's name, and obviously you guys are probably pretty good friends, and you guys ride a ton from your stories and all your content and stuff. What do you think specifically? I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I want you to speak upon, because there's a lot of people out there that watch your guys' stuff, me included, that want to do some of those crazier things and want to make the progress to be able to achieve some of those gnarly things that you boys are doing. And people are always looking for tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. But so talk specifically about being able to put yourself in a position to ride with somebody like Caleb and vice versa, right? For like Caleb to be able to ride with somebody like you, or, the freshly built guys, like for you to be able to put yourself in a position where you're surrounded by individuals like that are doing some gnarly things. Like how does that benefit your riding? Again, it's somewhat obvious, but I would like you to elaborate on the importance of that to you and how that's kind of shaped you as a rider.
Oh yeah, definitely. Growing up, I've always been the weak link in the group. I've always tried to ride with people that have been further ahead of me. Skill set wise and all that stuff that comes with sledding, and just watch what they're doing and learn from them. And I think that's the biggest way to learn, throwing yourself right in the mix. If you're riding with people if you're always the best in the group, you're never going to get that level of progression. You're never going to have someone behind you pushing you, you know. You got to keep up or have that, like, where everyone's ahead and you're way in the back stuck and you're like, I got to get out of this now or figure out how to do this. And you're like, this sucks. And then you figure out how to not do that next time. And, you know, it's just it helps push you in the right direction if you're after progression.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, if you're the best rider in the group, you need a different group. It's just like the saying, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you need to get into a different room.
Mm-hmm. That creates comfort.
Same. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, a couple other things that I wanted to touch on that's still kind of snowmobile specific. This SledCast. So you have your own podcast, which I'll tell you a funny story. So when I created SledTalk, I had written down ideas of names, and I wrote down SledCast as one of them.
Did you?
And this was prior to the creation of. Dude, I swear, I probably still have
That's
the note
awesome.
on my phone. This was prior to your creation of it. And then the Sled Talk thing it rolled off my tongue. And honestly, I think the first or second episode. But talk about SledCast and your podcast. And, you know, I had mentioned to you in the DMs that you could repurpose this entire episode, give you all the content and the upload for everything. So you could put it out on your platform as well, if you choose to. But what was like the motivating factor behind like coming up with the idea of creating a podcast?
I think networking, being able to talk to other people, learn is a great benefit from these. But I think for the biggest thing for me is becoming better with my words, learning to vocalize stuff better. Basically progress my talking. I've never been great at talking, so if you want to learn how to talk, you just got to start doing it. And it's a great way to
100%.
learn a lot of stuff, have great conversations, meet new people, and provide more content for people. People are curious. People want to know stuff. You can't always get all this kind of information out in a Instagram video or a whatever,
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a whole different, avenue of content.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And, you're seeing an increase in people watching more longer form content for sure. And obviously, like, being able to listen to podcasts, you're able to do, like multitask, right? So people are able to do something while they're able to listen to it, driving or working or whatever it may be. And so something else I'll say too, that the whole idea of like running the reps on getting better with speaking, what's great about, for me, maybe I would assume it's probably the same for you as well. But for speaking about snowmobiling, is we're so much in love with it and so obsessed with it that we are literally just speaking from our heart, right? And so we can flow and talk so much better, which then is just helping increase the confidence in talking about other subjects that we maybe don't know as much, right? So, and that's, something
100%.
for me as well. Yep. So same thing for me. The networking, obviously, and the connections and whatnot, like before I started the podcast and I'd watch you or watch these other people and think, oh man, how cool would it be to, I'd be such a fanboy to, to see them in the snow park or something, and so it's progressed into where we're at now. But running the reps on talking and doing these things bleed into other things that I do. So I'm a real estate agent and own a couple other businesses and whatnot. And so it's all full circle, right? And it's all about running the reps. And so speaking of reps, like talk about because on the personal side of things, I don't know how much you're involved with like personal developments. I was going through your followers, and you follow, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business people,
Yep.
A lot of some spiritual people and stuff, and Sean Whalen and a lot of those guys, and you've got a hustle hat on and whatnot. So talk a little bit about the importance of mindset stuff, because I'm really into personal development. That's we could have a whole other episode on that as well. But I just noticed that through your content, and so talk a little bit about the importance of that and why you choose to level up your mindset with that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, man, definitely. I think it's probably even more important than like being in better physical shape. I think mental is probably the most important thing. Personal development just kind of goes right along hand in hand with that. And it's become a huge thing in my life. Kind of started that journey through the gym. Got into lifting weights because I know that, to progress sledding, I need to be in good shape to throw a 500-pound machine around. They're not light. They take a lot of effort to ride all day. You get gassed. So, like the better shape you're in, the longer you can ride, or the harder you can ride, or whatever. So I guess it kind of started with lifting, getting in the gym, and then you start kind of back to that networking thing. You start following people who are into that kind of stuff, and it just leads into a whole rabbit hole of where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love talking about that kind of stuff because it's extremely important. And the whole ideology, like Sean Whalen stuff, like lion's not sheep. There's just so much more out there that I don't think enough people actively take advantage of. And being able to level up your mind is, I would probably agree with you. It's damn near more important than the body. But I also look at it in four things, right? So how I judge everything is MBSB. So it stands for mind, body, spirit, business, right? Like if your mind's in a good place, then your body can become into a good place. Then your spirit can, and spirit, whether spirituality or, God or whatever it is, whatever spirit means to you. But then having all three of those allows you to excel highly in business, whether that's a job or an entrepreneur, businesses, whatever it may be. So those are the four, like pillars of how I like live my entire life. And so that stuff is super, super important. So it's cool to see, somebody else in the snowmobile industry that takes that stuff just as serious too.
I like those pillars. That's a good way of putting it. And I agree 100% with that. One does follow another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So speaking of business, first off, what do you do for work on day to day?
I'm an electrician. I got my journeyman's this last fall, and I've been an independent contractor for 3 years now.
Okay.
Do a lot of stuff. Started out doing dirt work. So I learned, this was when I was a kid, I learned running an excavator, all that kind of stuff. Septics, driveways, dirt work stuff. And then moved into construction, learned framing, learned all that stuff. Then got a job up at the mill and became an electrician, and that's kind of where I liked to be. So I've got a lot of experience in the industry, and I do a lot of stuff in the industry, but I mainly do electrical now.
Nice.
I have a few other guys I subcontract with, and do a little bit of everything, but mainly electrical.
There you go. Nice. Awesome. And so you're able to set your own schedule then too, being an independent contractor. Like you can pretty much adjust your own jobs in your own time frame, which is crucial, right, for the importance of your career for snowmobiling, right? Like you got to be able to, one, make the money to afford snowmobiling, but then two, you're able to take the time to progress your career on a sled.
Yeah, you can load your plate as heavy as you want and stack up in the summer and be able to afford to snowmobile in the winter a little bit.
Heck yeah, absolutely, because it ain't cheap. That's for darn sure.
No.
So business as well. Ride Fast, right? So you've got Ride Fast company that's in your bio. It's not published yet. Tell us a little bit about what that is.
Kind of more a passion project I got going. I've kind of wanted to start an apparel line for quite a few years now. Just something I've always wanted to do, so I'm jumping on it and doing it. Not quite sure the direction of the company yet. I really want to create some opportunities for other athletes in the industry and try to push more of a positive thing in the industry, create opportunities, maybe some video projects. I'm not quite sure where it leads, but I want to start with apparel. It's something I've wanted to do. Just start small with it. yeah.
Heck yeah. Do you have a date to release or to publish or to come out with your first products? Do you have a goal in mind for time frame?
I'll be launched this fall for sure. I'm going to try to do a small drop over the summer, kind of feel things out, get a feel for how the company works. Another thing, it's just like I want to learn the business side of the stuff, and this is a great way to learn all that: online sales, Shopify store, shipping, all that stuff. It's always been a thing that I've wanted to learn, so this is an avenue to pursue that. Whether it becomes anything or not,
Heck yeah,
I don't really care. It's just something I want to do and learn. So,
dude, take action, right? Imperfect action, right? Like shoot the shot.
Yep.
100%.
Yep.
So a little piece, like I damn sure don't know everything, right? But obviously this is our first time talking and stuff. So prior to, I mentioned real estate. So prior to that, literally the last like 5 to 6 years, I have, my camera just stopped.
I still see you.
Yeah. So it's on my actual camera.
Oh.
We just started again. Literally the last like 5 years, I've ran my own digital marketing agency. So I did all things digital advertising, right, across Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff for a variety of different clients. In the last like 2 years, I shut it all down, and I've been going off the theme of fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. And so I just took those skill sets and started applying it for myself. I was having too many clients that had issues talking on camera, that didn't understand the importance of personal branding on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And I was just tired of trying to explain the importance of that and making them money. So I just said, screw it, I'm going to do this myself. So, you know, and that's how like kind of SledSend was birthed too, right? Like I'm obsessed with snowmobiling and it costs a lot of money. How can I figure out how to make money off of this? And then here we are, right? And so, you know, off camera, would definitely be willing to, if you're interested, to, you know, to get on another call one-on-one, and I'm an open book and transparent with everything. So like being able to talk shop on some of that stuff and show you what I've learned, mistakes I've made, you know, cool things, not so cool things, whatever. You know, that's another part of the networking stuff too, right? Like being able to share from my wins and my losses. You know, even if it is like, you know, even if it is within the snowmobiling industry and technically we would become competitors, right? Like I really don't care about that, right? So I met up with Justin Ponzer with Sled USA up in Sandpoint. He invited me up there, had him on the podcast and stuff, and we talked about a lot of different stuff. And obviously he's doing merch too and whatnot. And we both approach it in a great way to talk about it, to help each other. And so it's a great thing. And I just want to see others succeed, especially when it has to do with taking a shot on something they're obsessed with, right? With their passion.
100%.
And so, yeah, dude, that's really cool. I'm excited to,
and likewise,
to talk
man,
to you more
like
about
I wanted
that,
to
and
get
excited.
on here.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, likewise, man, it's super cool to see what you're doing as well. And I wanted to get on here to chat with you as well.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it. So I'm excited for the release of that company and that passion project this fall, and we'll definitely reconvene and talk a little bit more about it. So let's go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we checked off a lot of the questions. Let's go ahead and, you know, because we got those other guests that are waiting to do the Q&A. They've been sitting waiting for the last 30 minutes. So, and we got this one at a full, what are we at? Just over 30 minutes. So, yeah, that's a good episode. So something I did not mention to you, Kyle, is I like to end these Sled Talk episodes. We end it with the guest asking what we call the Sled Talk question of the day or question of the episode. And so what we do is have the guest, yourself, come up with a specific question. And then we micro clip that, and then we put that on TikTok and the reels and whatnot for the listeners and the viewers to be able to comment their opinion, right? So for example, it could be a broad question or it could be a specific question, you know, examples of like, you know, climb versus 509 or thumb throttle versus thumb versus finger throttle, or, what's your favorite mod or your favorite backcountry snack or whatever. Do you have something? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but do you have something that comes to mind when you want to think of a question to ask the listeners?
I'm thinking riding styles. So there's freestyle jumping,
Okay.
that whole realm of things, and then there's tree riding, hardcore riding, shit crick kind of riding. What's your favorite?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. That one hasn't been asked either in 24 episodes. So that's good. Yeah. So what is your favorite, your favorite riding style? So listeners, viewers, comment below with your answers. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Kyle, thank you so much for jumping on this episode. I'm excited to get it released and get it out there. It means a lot to me, dude. I appreciate the response to the DM, the follow back on Instagram, and jumping on here and taking the time to do this. So we'll wrap it up. This will be the first summer episode, so I appreciate all you Sled Talk listeners and viewers, whether you're on YouTube or watching this on Instagram or listening on iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff. Please like, follow, subscribe. That helps us increase our engagement, which then full circle helps us continue to push this whole ideology of Sled Talk forward. So we'll wrap it up. Kyle, again, thank you, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Heck yeah, thanks for having me.
Living life with no regrets. I can't designer when I get dressed. Summertime on winter fresh. I put her legs behind her head. Night she gone to bed. Bye bye. Every day it's a new test. I just keep chasing these chicks. Living life with no